Well, as we shoot this, it's the morning after Bedlam, so pardon us if there's a lot of enthusiasm. It was a great win, wasn't it, Coach? 72-56 over the Sooners, and there's a lot of really positive boxes that were checked, huh?
Yeah, great win in many facets. Obviously, we needed a win in conference play. We had struggled here, especially with Musa being out the last 3 games. We also had a tremendous crowd, and it's always important that you reward that crowd with a good performance in hopes that you can repeat the crowd the next time out. And obviously, we got a really big game coming up next. But also just to see our team put together a 40-minute stretch of competing at a really high level. We didn't play great for the whole 40 minutes, but our competitive spirit was there from tip to finish, and it's something that we can build on.
You know, it was an interesting game. If people didn't see it, you were down 6 at half. You basically doubled up Oklahoma in the second half. And you dodged some bullets in the first half. You had some foul trouble you dealt with. Oklahoma made a run at the end of the half. You know, I think we focus on what happened in the second half, but there were some things you had to do to survive the first half to put you in position, right, to have the second half that you had.
Yeah, certainly a part of the game management piece, and our staff did a great job of, Avery Anderson and Kalib Boone were both in foul trouble. We needed them both because their scoring ability in a game like that we needed on the court. So we had to keep them engaged, but also not at the risk of hampering ourselves for the second half. We got really good minutes from some guys off the bench. Caleb Asbury, Keon Williams were tremendous. Musa Cisse came in and gave us a little bit of a spark just for a couple minutes in a point where we needed a little bit of a lift. But then we kind of held the line. We missed quite a bit of close shots. So I felt good about the shots we were getting. Knew that if we were able to cut the water off with Sherfield, we would make those shots and give ourselves a great chance to win in the second half.
Yeah, Sherfield, Oklahoma's leading scorer, had 15 points in the first half and none in the second. Sort of add some facts to what we were discussing there. Woody Newton, you made the decision to start him. He had not started all year. His minutes have gone up and had gone up in the previous couple of weeks, but you asked him to go into an entirely different role, and what's he do? He gets a career-high 12 points, gets 5 rebounds, does a lot of great things. What made you comfortable with making that decision?
Well, we've known his talent level, his ability, but you got to see the kid perform in practice. And for the first time, he's put together some really consistent practices from a mental standpoint, approaching the game plan with seriousness, understanding the necessity of having an impact on the game without scoring. Because a lot of times your natural ability shows up on the offensive end. It's your effort and focus that needs to show up on the defensive end to give your team a chance to win. And he's been tremendous the last couple of weeks in terms of helping us game plan, asking questions. He's a really smart basketball player. And I'm really happy for him and our team because I really have believed all along that the position he plays is maybe the most important position on the court in this league. That stretch 4, combo guard. You talk about guys like Keontae Johnson, Jalen Wilson in our league, Emmanuel Miller, who we haven't seen at TCU, but guys that can be versatile in terms of scoring outside and inside, and Woody gives us that element.
Another piece of the game was the play of Kalib Boone. He's played 4 home Bedlam games, and he's averaged 15 points and 7 rebounds across those 4 Bedlam games. Just basically the numbers he had last night, and he blocked 5 shots. What's been interesting with Musa out, he's blocked 14 shots the last 4 games and has been terrific. But there is something about Bedlam here that brings out a lot in him, huh?
Yeah, and sometimes because of how dynamic and the ability to go block shots that look like you shouldn't have a chance of blocking with Musa, you forget that Caleb's always been a pretty good shot blocker himself. In fact, I think was second in the league behind his teammate Musa in blocking shots a year ago. So I'm certainly thankful that he stepped up his play here the last 2.5 weeks with Musa out. We need, when Musa continues to get back and more healthy, for them to be a great 1-2 combination inside for us on both offense and defense.
And finally, another individual perhaps to single out was Bryce Thompson. It was interesting. There's a story of 2 halves. The first half sort of looked like what had been going on with him the previous 3 or 4 games. He was struggling on the offensive end, but he's getting a lot of rebounds, so we don't want to dismiss that. Then the second half, he looked like the Bryce Thompson that got on a roll earlier this season. Hopefully, there's been a transition there, but it was interesting how one story ended and hopefully a new one has begun.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Obviously, for him and Caleb playing in these Bedlam games is a big deal. Having been kids growing up in this state and seen it firsthand. to see them both perform well. But with Bryce, it's about just being confident shooting his three ball, especially on the catch. I think he was 3 for 3 last night. And although he has the ability to get it and finish, it's really, really hard shots against the type of defenses that we play against on a night in and night out basis. So we got to continue to implore him to shoot his threes, shoot it with confidence, and allow that to be where the starting point of his offensive game, and then maybe later in the game be able to get downhill and get himself to the free throw line.
So now, as we do have this conversation, it's Thursday morning. You played at 8 o'clock Wednesday night. You'll come back, pretty quick turnaround at 1 o'clock Saturday, and it's kind of a 180. Oklahoma, a team that doesn't force many turnovers, and if you look at the analytics, Iowa State, your opponent Saturday, the team that leads the country in defensive turnover percentage. So it's a big change and different team, huh?
Very, very different in the sense of we're the top 2 defensive teams in our conference, which is the top defensive conference in the country. So, we'll both try to make it really difficult on the other team to get easy baskets. They won't be easy to come by. We've got to be disciplined and diligent in taking care of the basketball because they do force a lot of turnovers. I do feel confident that we've trended in the right direction the last couple games in that regard. And playing at home, hopefully we get another crowd, can take care of the basketball. You have to rebound it because they do have pretty good size across the board. But they're playing as confident as anybody in our league right now. And for us to take the next step, we got to perform well against them.
Again, just 2.5 days in between the contests. So what's the balance between taking with you good things from the Oklahoma game, but at the same time being able to sort of compartmentalize it and leave behind what needs to be left behind? How do you do that? How do you manage the next couple of days?
Well, you got to wake up today and realize you're playing the Big 12. And the second hardest thing you can do is look ahead too far, but the most difficult thing you can do is look behind you. So we can't be worried about what happened last night and how good it felt once we come to practice today. We got to be focused on what will be the hardest game of the season we've played so far on Saturday afternoon and get ourselves mentally, for the most part, in a place where we understand what the preparation it'll take to have success against a team, like I said, that's playing really, really good basketball right now.
So it's a 1 o'clock tip-off for the Cowboys and Iowa State, then a trip to Texas and back home again for the Big 12 SEC Challenge against Ole Miss. We'll see you next week.